let's get started. Uh, it is really funny that I've been doing this for almost 200 episodes in 5 years, and I still haven't figured out a good way to reintroduce people who have been on the show before. Uh, Generally, when someone first appears on the show, I ask them to introduce themselves to the listeners. And since this is your second time on the show, some people already know who you are. So I don't know. I'd say just reintroduce yourself, Rob. Who are you? Why are you here?
Sure. Good question. Why is any of us here? Uh,
Seriously,
well, hello. My name is Rob. Good to see you again,
good to see
Mike.
you again.
I when was I here last? Like 2 years ago or something like
It
that?
was
I don't
before the
remember.
book came out.
Okay. Okay. So it was over a year ago,
Yeah.
probably a year and a half or something. I guess I'm here because like I've had an evolving relationship with masculinity and been learning a lot about what that is and what it means. And we kind of found each other and connected virtually over that. But more specifically, I came out as bi around in my early 30s. I'm now in my late 30s. I might be 40 by the time this comes out.
Oh,
Uh,
happy early birthday, I guess.
Thank you. We'll talk about that. But
Uh,
when I came out as bi, that felt like it was a big catalyst for reevaluating masculinity and my identity in general. So it's been a journey the last 10 years. And I started a podcast called Two Bi Guys. We'll be using this recording on my podcast as well.
it's what
Uh,
do you call it? It's a crossover show.
yes, this is the first official crossover, I think.
Nice.
I've done collabs, but this is our new experiment of actually doing a two in one. And yeah, those two journeys have felt tied together for me, the sexuality and the masculinity. So that's what we talked about last time, I think.
Right.
Um, yeah.
Right. And since you were here the last time, you released a book.
I released a book. Yes, it's called Bisexual Married Men Stories of Relationships, Acceptance, and Authenticity. And it's about the specific experience of bi men who are married to women, which I don't think is like a more valid or more important experience than others. I just think is an extremely common experience that there was nothing about in the literature. And I would like to write more books about other kinds of bi marriages between men and trans people, like all different things. But that was where I started. And it also just it took over a year, but it just came out as an audiobook as well.
Oh,
So
nice.
now you
I'm
can listen
assuming
to it.
you're narrating it.
No, you would assume that. I assumed that, but no, they did not want me to narrate it. They have a pipeline of books from this publisher that just get farmed out to be read by someone, and I did not read it. An actor named Daniel Henning read it. I've
No.
listened to some of it, and he's great. He's wonderful. So I'm glad it worked out. But yeah, no, it's not me.
Wow, that's actually very surprising. Not that I
Yeah.
know how audiobooks work at all, but so in the time since your book has been published, you've also done some book tour date kind of things. I know you did gatherings in New York. I attended that, and you did one in
Yeah.
LA, which is where
Oh,
you
right.
live.
That was the first time we met in person,
It was
wasn't
the
it?
first time we met in person.
Yeah.
Yes.
First and only, I guess.
Yeah. So far.
So far, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for coming to that. That
Of
one was fun.
course.
We did it at the LGBT Center. I did another book event in LA at Book Soup. Was it Book Soup? Yeah, I think it was Book Soup,
You tell
which
me.
is a cool queer bookstore out
Nice.
here. Was it Book? Yeah, I hope it was Book Soup, and I'm not getting that wrong. It was a year ago. I did some virtual events. I've done some book groups. I did a book group at this virtual group called How, which stands for Husbands Out to Wives. It's for gay and bisexual men who are out to their wives, which is an important distinction.
Yeah.
There are some bi men who are married to women, and there, as counterintuitive as it might seem, there are gay men who are married to women, and
Yes, there
those are two
are.
different experiences.
Yes, they are.
but they're all in the
100%.
same group and I spoke to them. So yeah, I've done a handful of book things for the past year, and the book led to my coaching practice. So now I'm coaching by men, many of whom are married to women. That's
Congratulations.
Thank you. That also started since, after the book came out. I started coaching around March of last year, and it's going really well, and I love it. It's coming very naturally. Yeah, it's been cool.
Awesome. I mean, I would ask what's changed for you since the book came out, but it seemed like there was stuff in motion, like the coaching that was already sort of in progress when you
Yeah.
released the book. What has been the most interesting observation that you've made in the time since the book has come out?
Man.
Maybe there are a few.
That's a good question. Um, I guess just like I kind of knew this would happen, but how many people it's resonated with, and just like the comments I've gotten that have just been like, there was no one telling this story before. Like, and so many people who connect so specifically with certain stories in the book, and how validating it's been for them to hear, oh, there's someone like me, there's another marriage like this.
Right.
And like, now I'm working with many of those guys, just like how common many of the struggles are, and also unique to each person and the ins and outs of it. Like, the coaching is very specific to the exact thing that's going on in their lives. And yet, for many people in mixed orientation marriages or just queer relationships in general, how many of the same issues come up. Um, and yeah, I just see a lot of the same stuff over and over, and it's really complicated stuff. And yet, it's also stuff that you can work through and you can move forward on.
Absolutely. Um, And in terms of your own journey in the years since you and I first spoke, what has changed? Has anything changed? What's different about Rob when I spoke to you a year ago versus Rob as we record this now?
Well, the coaching practice has been really nice to just like get it going and know that I can do it, and that I'm finding clients, and I feel like we're making progress. I'm really helping them. They're enjoying it. Like, that's just, I'm settling into that. Like a year ago I was kind of, that was on the horizon, but I didn't know how it would go, or if I'd find clients, or like, would I know what I'm doing? And now I feel very like settled and confident. And this is something not only I know I can do, but it's something I'm really enjoying doing and finding rewarding for me. And I learn stuff from my clients
Of
every time
course.
I meet with them. Uh, the other like big thing for me this year has been my plant medicine journey. I know this was sort of the
It
impetus
was the
for
impetus for
us
us to start to
reconnecting.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because you posted something, I think, and I was like, this I'm on this journey as well. Let's talk about it. And it feels
Yeah.
very related to masculinity and sexuality.
Oh yeah.
Um, but yeah, I had always been interested in psychedelics. I, tried mushrooms recreationally, smoked marijuana for many years, but I really started like a formal practice in May of 2024, going to these mushroom ceremonies, circles, in LA, where you're in a room with 10 to 12 other people. You're all taking kind of a larger dose than what you might do recreationally. We sing song. I'll tell you more about it, but we sing songs. It's very intentional. We do like, it's work. It's healing work. It's not just for fun. And I've done a bunch of those. And then in November of 24, I sat with ayahuasca for a weekend. We did 3 sits, and that was a really profound spiritual experience. And all of that plant medicine work feels like it's a big shift in my life. And it's like not necessarily changing how I see everything, but almost more confirming it, and I'm feeling it more in my body, and
Oh,
we can get into it, but that's the big thing is the plant medicine.
okay. Yeah. So my knowledge of this stuff is, I would say, relatively minimal, right? Like,
Uh-huh.
I know about ayahuasca, honestly, because Will Smith talked about it in his memoir.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Interesting.
and that was the first time I had heard of ayahuasca. Um, our mutual acquaintance Dave Holmes also talks about having a plant medicine experience. He didn't specify, although I assume it was shrooms based, but he writes about that in his biography as well.
Interesting.
Um, I my drug experience, and it's so weird because people are like, oh, you work in the music business and you live in New York, you have to have had more drug experience than you have. And I'm like, no, to be perfectly honest with you. I smoked weed intermittently for the last 30 years.
Uh-huh.
um, and I dropped acid once,
Mm.
and I very recently, this past December, started doing ketamine therapy.
Ah,
So
interesting.
our experiences are not with the same drug
Yeah.
essentially, but we are both using these things for therapeutic purposes.
Yeah.
And I felt like getting you back on here, we could maybe just sort of like share what the experience has been like and what it has done for us in terms of our
Yeah.
journeys.
Absolutely, and I'm so curious about that. And in the plant medicine world, we don't call them drugs; we call it medicine,
Sure,
because
sure.
apparently plant medicine makes us sanctimonious and pedantic about it. um, I'm
Plant
also writing
medicine.
some stand up about my ayahuasca experience
Right
as
on.
well.
Right on.
Got to mine everything for content these
There you
days.
go. There you go. And
But
before to put a pin in that, we should also talk about you becoming a stand-up comic,
yeah,
which
that's
is not
actually that's
something
a
that.
new thing too since we
Yeah,
spoke.
a lot of new
Yeah.
shit, Rob.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of new stuff that it all feels like it's part of the same mission and like purpose, but yes, it is like new things that are coming in. Yeah.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I started stand up. I took a class last year from January till like March, and then I performed for the first time in April. Talked about a lot of bi stuff and a lot of gay sex stuff, and I did a whole set about male masturbation parties one time that really shocked the straight people.
I
But
bet.
yeah, that's the stand up has been really fun and just like a joy to actually write stuff and perform it and get it out there instead of like spending 5 years writing something that nobody ever reads.
Sure.
Yeah. So, but I'm curious. I'm curious. I kind of want to hear you go first, especially since it sounds like you did this before I did the LSD or the acid. Like,
Yeah.
because that's very related to ayahuasca. I'm learning, even though they're different, they're very related.
I
So,
my
what was it like?
understanding my understanding is that ayahuasca is way more intense than LSD is.
Oh,
Um, so the time I dropped acid, that would have been, I'm doing math in my head, like 12 years ago.
okay.
And the person that I was seeing at the time was, if on the drug scale I was a rookie, this guy was a seasoned veteran of drugs.
Uh-huh.
And it dropped acid a bunch of times, sort of like a hippie-ish kind of dude. And it was something that I'd thought about for a while, and I had the access, so I was like, I feel safe enough to do this. Let's do it. And we came over on a Sunday afternoon, and we popped open a beer, we smoked a little bit of weed, and then he put the little tab on my tongue, and we sat on the couch and we started watching TV, and I started tripping balls. um, it was not entirely unpleasant. I will say
But mostly unpleasant.
no, actually, it was mostly pleasant. I enjoyed it.
Okay, good.
Uh, the one thing, this feels like a rookie mistake. Uh, my phone rang and I answered it, and it turned out to be a friend that I had recently done an intervention on and helped put in rehab,
Oh, fuck.
calling from rehab.
Wow.
So I'm 2, maybe 3 hours into an acid trip, out of my fucking mind,
Oh my
and
god.
have to pull myself back to what I can only assume was the normal undrugged version of me, to have this conversation and then go back into the trip. Um, so that was not intelligent. Um,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah. Rookie
but
mistake. No
yeah,
offense.
right, but I did it.
Put your phone away.
Yeah. Um, and then, we tripped for a little while longer, or well, I tripped for a lot while longer, and my partner at the time got hungry. We ordered a pizza. We eat the pizza. Maybe an hour after that, he's like, "You're good. I'm gonna drive home." And he drove home. And maybe 15 minutes after he drove home, I was like, "Mm, feels so good."
Hmm.
And the pizza left my body and ended up all over my apartment.
Oh shit. Ah,
um,
wow.
and I didn't, I told, well, two things about
Purge.
that. One, I was still tripping the next day. Like, I
Ah,
went to therapy the next day and I was still like not fully out of my trip.
wow.
And the other thing is that I remember telling this guy about it the next day, and I was like, dude, I threw up all over the place. He was like, are you sure you're not imagining that? I'm like, there is caked up paper towels with like vomit in my bathroom right now. It can only have come from one place. Like, I'm not imagining this at all.
Wow.
Um, so I gave the impression of, apparently, of seeming totally fine. But yeah, I mean, it was an interesting experience. It was pretty intense. um, I'm not fully sure that I would repeat that level of intensity. I certainly am never going to eat a pizza in the middle of a drug film. Like, that is
That
not.
sounds like a smart idea.
Yeah, yeah. But that was my one, and up until a month and a half ago, only experience with any sort of psychedelic trip inducing type of drug.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Interesting. And I mean, yeah, I'll compare that to the ayahuasca in a moment. I because we didn't eat anything like for hours beforehand, and then from the moment we drank it, I think there was probably 6 or 7 hours, and then as we're finally like coming out of it, then we all had a meal. What so like what did you gain any insight before you purged? Did you gain any insights, or like what did how did you change from this experience besides not wanting to have that kind of a trip again?
I don't know that that particular experience changed very much.
Uh-huh.
That was maybe more of like a funsies
Yeah.
thing, whereas
Interesting.
the ketamine was 100% uh, done with the intention of being therapeutic.
Okay.
This was just like a cool, let's trip and see what happens type thing.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah,
So yeah, so tell us about the ketamine then. What was that?
I mean, much different experience, same amount of vomit. um, it's I have been in therapy for a really long time, and I have taken, over the course of the last 17 or 18 years, probably 12 different SSRIs.
Mhm.
I actually went on Wikipedia once and looked at the page that they have for antidepressants and checked like 13 things off the list that I had taken, some of them more than once.
Wow.
um, and antidepressants historically either give me a flat effect, or they make me really drowsy, tired, sleepy, whatever, or they crash my libido, um, give me severe erectile dysfunction, there's always something wrong with an antidepressant that I take, or they just don't
Mhm.
work.
Mhm.
Um, so I've been through the ringer on that stuff. After November 5th, I had a pretty big emotional crash, and I was basically like,
Why? What happened
right,
on November
right,
5th that would cause emotions? I don't
imagine,
remember.
imagine. Um, and I was in a pretty low place, and my therapist was like, "Hey, have you ever thought of doing ketamine therapy?" And I was like, "Actually, yes, I've thought about it. A few friends of mine have done it. They say it did really good things for them. My understanding is that it is prohibitively expensive."
Mm.
Um, and my therapist was like, "You know what? Let me do some research for you, and I will talk to your psychiatrist, and we're going to figure something out." So he talked to my psychiatrist, and he talked to my general practitioner. um, all three together agreed that ketamine therapy was a good option. My psychiatrist sent me a list of places in New York City that offered ketamine therapy. Um, One thing I didn't know is that ketamine therapy is partially accepted by some insurance.
Yeah.
Um, and I basically, I had a couple of consultations, signed up for it. And the initial sort of batch of it was 4 sessions in 2 weeks. Well, 5 sessions. There was an initial meeting with the doctor, and the
Mhm.
person that runs this particular clinic is a licensed ER doctor. You know, has his shit down pat. And basically, what they do is, they screen you, make sure that you are not at risk for like psychosis or anything that the ketamine is going to activating you. And you go in for the first session. It's a little woo woo. There's like aromatherapy, and they uh, they sensory deprive you. They put a blindfold over you or a face mask, and
Uh-huh.
they put headphones on you. Um, Playing, they give you an option of nature sounds or like new agey kind of music or that kind of thing. They
Mhm.
hook you up to an IV,
Oh.
and they administer ketamine to you, and you lay back and you trip balls for an hour.
Just 1 hour.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
it's the sessions are all 90 minutes, so it's 15 minutes of the initial sort of like, excuse me, get you situated, sit down, like choose your scent, choose your music, like blah blah blah, that kind of stuff. And then the last 15 minutes you have to sort of reorient yourself, because I can't speak for everybody, but when I came out of the trip I was pretty woozy.
Mm. Mhm.
Um, so it's like 50 minutes on the front, 50 minutes on the back, and then an hour for the actual treatment part of it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So it was 4 sessions. The last one was right before Christmas. And what they recommend is working with them to figure out a sequence in which you go back periodically and sort of get topped up, because like every antidepressant, ketamine wears off over time, your symptoms can reoccur.
uh-huh.
It's just a matter of figuring out the frequency with which they reoccur and getting on a schedule of administration of the ketamine to counteract that.
Mhm.
So I actually have my next appointment next week.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So, like, what came up for you during those 4 or 5 hours? Like, what was going through your mind when you're in it?
A lot of people.
Hmm.
um I like the two things I can definitively say. One is that uh, for the duration of almost every single session, I was in motion. Like I was driving something or riding something or like in charge of operating a vehicle that was moving forward
Hmm.
through the entire thing. Like there was no stillness, I
No
guess you would call
pause?
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was no
Uh-huh.
pause,
Uh-huh.
which resulted in me getting motion sickness,
Oh,
hence more
interesting.
throwing up.
Huh.
Um, and I ended up taking some anti-nausea medication before that actually helped out. But
That's interesting. Just to like, so I don't forget it.
yeah.
Someone in my ayahuasca journey said she felt like she was flying,
Hmm.
and she when she got sick, because that often happens on ayahuasca, it felt to her like altitude sickness, which is interesting that yours felt like motion sickness, even though both of you were just sitting there.
Sitting there, laying there, yeah.
It's interesting.
Flying as in she herself was flying like
Yeah.
a bird, or like in a plane as a passenger in like a plane,
Oh, I
or
don't
piloting a
remember.
plane.
I don't remember if she said or if I just can't remember, but she said she felt like she was being like taken to the stratosphere, and she wasn't like ready, and as she was acclimating to the altitude, that was when she got sick. Yeah.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like I was operating a vehicle, either a car, a plane, or a spaceship,
Hmm.
through pretty much all of my trips. So I remember that, and then it was just sort of a parade of humans that have been in my life at various times, people that I had not thought of in decades. Like I
Hmm.
went on an eighth grade trip to Washington D.C. And this is the summer of 1988, and
Wow.
this is somebody that I had not thought of in 25 years, 30 years, that whose name popped back into my head. Um, and it was just like, you know, I remember early in one trip seeing like a bunch of people I know kind of like gathered around me and thinking like, wow, this many people or this amount of people only really shows up for you if you're about to die. And they were like, no, you're not going to die, but we're here to take this journey with you.
Hmm. Wow.
And that was really profound. um, I used my partner as a grounding device, so whenever I sort of felt like I was out of control, I would either picture his hand and like grab onto it, or I would like wiggle my toes and like wiggle my fingers just to like feel like I was standing on something,
Hmm.
and that would serve as a grounding device. Um, there, I wrote down a shit ton of stuff that I haven't really looked over since, and I should probably do that. Um, the last session, um, I felt like I was mouthing words a lot. And then after it, the nurse that was on duty was like, "Nah, dude, you were talking." So apparently, I was a chatty
Huh.
Cathy during the last session. She was like, "You brought up Michael Jackson a lot. Like, what's that
Interesting.
about?" And I just there was
Interesting.
I think there was like music playing in my head, or I was transporting myself onto like music video backgrounds or something like that.
Huh.
And so that happened, but it was a really interesting series of experiences. And again, just like the amount, the things that were unlocked that I hadn't thought of in 15, 20, 25, 30 years, names that hadn't been in my head since I was a kid,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
kind of all popped back into my head.
Wow. And I like that metaphor of like they're on this journey with you, but like, I mean, really, that's life. Like
Yeah,
you're going through life, and there's all these people and that are on this journey with you. If you
right,
think about it that way,
right.
that's kind of a nice metaphor.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
There
Interesting.
wasn't, yeah, there wasn't a lot of like negativity to the experiences.
Uh,
Anytime someone would pop up in my thought process that uh, was someone that I had like a contentious relationship with, or someone that had brought me, stress or pain, like I would actually like see my hand pushing them away.
hmm. Hmm.
Um,
Interesting.
yeah. So it was very much a positive experience.
Almost like seeing yourself setting a boundary
Boundary. Hmm.
without I don't know, maybe did it feel like you were doing it, or you were just watching that
Oh
happen?
no, it felt like I was actually like pushing them away.
You were doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah.
how did you know to do, did you like choose it, or did it just happen?
That I can't really tell you. I don't know how voluntary my movements
Uh-huh.
were. I feel like it was a conscious decision of this thing. This is like a bad thought. This is someone that's bad for you. Get them out of the picture.
Hmm.
Focus on the good stuff. That kind of thing.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Wow. And how did all this affect like your mental health, your the anxiety, whatever was going on November 5th? Like what's it like on the other side of it?
It's been about 3 weeks since my most recent session. Um, I got through the holidays in better spirits than I had experienced during any holiday season in recent memory.
Hmm.
The holidays are generally a stressful time for me. Um, I, have a pretty contentious relationship with members of my family. Um, there's some loneliness that creeps in, but, I had 2 weeks off from work and filled up that time really well, prioritized time with people that I care about, minimized my time with people that, you know, can be sort of a drain on me.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that there are definitely some long lasting effects. I definitely feel like it's faded a little bit. I think, my anxiety has been higher than normal the last few days. Um, but that's also kind of like going back into work. Certainly being conscious of current events and upcoming events.
Yeah.
And the guy that manages the clinic, the doctor, was like, "Look, this isn't a cure. This isn't going to
Mm,
get rid of your depression. It's not going to get rid of your anxiety, but hopefully." And one thing ketamine is supposed to do is sort of like stimulate your neuroplasticity
mm,
so that you're able to utilize coping strategies that maybe you'd been resistant to before.
mm,
Um, and he said what this is supposed to do is to, give you different ways of hopefully coping with and dealing with the stress that, you encounter. And I
right.
feel, again, I feel like so far that has been the case.
Mm, yeah.
Um, one specific thing I've noticed is that I tend to stew. When something bothers me, I can't brush it off.
Uh-huh.
It'll stay with me for hours, days, weeks, months, whatever. Um, I have been a lot more. Things have been going away a little bit easier, or a lot easier
Mm,
in some cases, where like
mm,
something will annoy me, and then 10 minutes later I'll have moved on to the next thing in a way that I
cool.
was not able to before.
Yeah. Letting
Um,
things pass by and let
yeah,
go and flow through. Yeah.
yeah,
It what you said makes sense because also like my experience is like it's not like plant medicine fixes everything and you're healed instantly just by sipping it. It what it really does is gives you like a reset, like a mental and physical reset. And I was listening to a Radio Lab episode about psychedelics and LSD and stuff, and a lot of the research is telling us that like it induces a state that's childlike in terms of the ability to form new connections in the brain and
hmm
learn things that actually like the way like children can learn a language easier like because like that's what this kind of medicine does is it gives you that kind of fresh clean slate to learn new things. And so I've been really focused and intentional about trying to like notice that and push myself the way I want to go because it's not like everything is solved from taking the medicine. It's like, no, okay, it's giving you an opportunity to address things differently and to chart your path forward. So the time after the medicine is really almost as important, if not more important, than the journey itself.
right, right, exactly. And I've been wondering whether, like, it's like, how much of an impression is the medicine making, because this happened at the same time that I was looking at 2 weeks off from work and kind of like a holiday reset. and I've been deliberate about like going to the gym more regularly and meditating more regularly, and I'm putting all of these things in practice at the same time.
Uh-huh.
So it's difficult to attribute any change to like one specific thing, but it
Yeah.
probably is all of the things in combination kind of putting me in a better head.
Right, right. And it is all connected. Like for us too, we had a specific dieta beforehand. So like I'm eating differently. I'm like in a more healthy mindset. I We weren't supposed to drink alcohol or smoke weed for a month before ayahuasca, which was the longest I've ever gone without smoking weed in a
All right,
while.
good for you.
uh, and it really like set me up. And afterwards, I'm like, I'm more into meditating. I'm more into just like reflecting and resting and not just like pushing myself so forward. And some of that's because of the insights from the medicine, and some of that's because I met people who do that and it sounded interesting. So it it all comes together, and the tendrils of the medicine like go into these other areas, but like there's a reason it's all connected. This mindfulness stuff is all
Right.
connected.